Right, I've got everything. I've got Star Wars related t-shirt, check. Script, check. Hiccups, for some reason, check. Right, should we get started? You ready?
I am!
I told you, fuck off, I told you about this. You're not part of this anymore, go away. Some people. Fuck!
Now, I'm not one to shit on other people's hobbies.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
But I do personally think that my interests top all my other friends. The major ones that have played a role in my life are magic,
Well, fuck.
gaming, music, and Star Wars. And since I can only do 2 at a time, it seems gaming and Star Wars have won this one. Oh boy, if you saw magic and music together. Doesn't work.
What the hell?
This first episode of Rapid Retrospect, where I rapidly reveal, reiterate, and rate relevant research relating to random games, will mix 2 of my major hobbies on said list, gaming and Star Wars. Today, September 16th, celebrates, well, it's been 10 years since Star Wars The Force Unleashed was released to the Star Wars deprived world. The prequels that weren't Episode 3 presented to the world how Star Wars was losing its charm it once had in the original trilogy, something I will unironically state made me feel a tiny, almost microscopic level of emotion. The final scene in Return of the Jedi, with the Ewoks and the dancing and the forest moon of Endor with the ghosts returning, is what I call filmmaking genius. And if anyone tries to challenge me with that and says that the prequels are better, can go back to sucking on their own man tits and can shut the fuck up. Sorry, I got a little passionate there. I promise that will never happen again. So, let's see if this game, and any others that will come up in the series, have aged well and are still as satisfying and enjoyable now as they were on their initial release.
I have no interest in your failures.
The Force Unleashed can be forgiven for most of its sins, as it takes place between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. In fairness, linking these 2 stories together is going to be about as successful as linking me to a really attractive girl, because in the end, someone's going to end up dying. It starts off with Darth Vader hunting down the rest of the Jedi, more specifically Kento Marek, who is hiding out in Kashyyyk after the mess of a genocide that was Order 66. Just for future reference, and for loads of other videos that are going to happen, I will get very nerdy in terms of Star Wars and other gaming related stuff, so it's alright, but prepare to see me at my worst and most sexually tense. Anyway, Vader kills Marek and takes his son Galen as his apprentice without Palpatine being aware, so I guess Palpatine's role in this canon is the complete opposite to the entire prequel trilogy. Makes me wonder why he's even mentioned if he's not going to know anything. Galen then grows up in Vader's care to become Starkiller, who he tries to convince to kill the Emperor so they can rule the galaxy together. With me being a sexual lover for Star Wars plots, this one, although quite simple, does do its job very well and links the 2 stories very well together. It is a solid story throughout. Good work, Star Wars media in the year 2008. You didn't release something that was absolute shit. Because it is classified as a hack and slash, the combat had to live up to the term, and it's simple enough. You can swap between lightsaber attacks and force attacks, with each strike adding to the combo meter, therefore stringing more attacks together is encouraged and increases the level of experience you get, and therefore adds to the number of attacks, and so on. A nice simple system, just like a hack and slash should be, not like those other shitty examples. It's easy to get a hang of, and the more platformer based and puzzle sections that come into it give it a nice break to the extremely quick and prominent combat sections. What's more, enemies learn from your attacks, so using the same attacks on different people can sometimes lead to you doing less damage, and with the game gradually increasing in difficulty throughout, the challenge is always at a suitable level in terms of where you are through the game. It's gradual, like a hack and slash should be. No one really wants to go from 1 to 11 that quickly, would they? Right. Oh shit, it's the last one. Of course, the gameplay isn't perfect, it was fine at best for me, but much like a nervous kid trying to perform a speech on stage, it kept my attention for most of it and then shat itself at the end and ruined the rest of it for me. It released on literally every console, even the fucking DS. This thing. I mean, look at it. It's older than Jesus. And also on iOS, but not Android. Oh no, it came out on the, mobile phone. Yeah, that dates it, doesn't it? There were differences in gameplay when you turn to the Nintendo version, since motion control with the Wii had just become mainstream. The Wii version specifically allowed you to swish the remote around and the nunchuck for force powers. It's like I'm a real Jedi. The DS does it even better by using the touchscreen for both lightsaber attacks and force attacks. I mean, What the fuck, Nintendo? Graphics are fine, I guess, for 2008, but looking at it now just shows to me how far we've come graphics-wise in games. Yes, in cutscenes they all look like zombies from George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead and have faces as emotionless as a brick with a sad face painted on it, but it was an ambitious game and likely looked pretty damn good for its time. Granted, in the same year we had releases like GTA 4, Call of Duty World at War and others, but it still looked good for the time. And then there's the ending to this game, which falls under two choices, the light and dark endings. Even if this game is a decade old and everyone who wants to play it has likely already done so, I respect people too much to spoil the endings, in case of any stragglers who haven't come yet. I'm sorry, but people that spoil games and films that much can just fuck right off. The number of times I've had to keep off the internet just so I don't have things like Infinity War or The Force Awakens spoiled for me. There's too many to count. A perfect example happened last week when I was able to buy Spider-Man for the PS4 on the day it came out. Yeah! Was it good? Oh, fucking hell, was it good? But to ruin the ending and the gameplay of a game that people have been hyping up for years, it's just a shitty thing to do. Anyway, there's two endings to choose from that does link into the second game, or at least has an effect on the start of the sequel, but regardless, the choice is there to make. The best part of this game by far is one of the ending cutscenes, when Palpatine is there and he says the best meme in existence. You all know the one I'm talking about. Do it. Classic. Is that everything? I think it's everything, but I need to make this one shorter so people don't get bored easily. The plots that surround Star Wars are very important to me, and luckily The Force Unleashed doesn't piss on the bonfire that is the Star Wars universe. It's not perfect, obviously, with some odd motion capture scenes and strange writing choices that aren't exactly groundbreaking.
But if you destroy him, you'll be one step closer to your destiny.
But overall, for a decade ago, the game still looks and sounds great with genuine material from John Williams, as well as some new scores within the game too. Even most of the characters I liked, pretty much. There's Starkiller, who is dangerously subservient, but also likes to joke around a bit, even if he takes his missions very seriously.
You don't need to know anything about my missions except where I'm going. Now I need to jump to Nar Shaddaa. Can you handle that?
There's Proxy, a robot who can transform holographically into any person of choice, as well as being the comedy character, because he's a robot, which ironically means he has the most personality to him.
I'm pleased to see that you're not dead. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to kill you myself.
And Captain Juno, the love interest and pilot, who is female, because why not? There's other characters like Ram Kota, who has the same personality as a potato with a ponytail, and Palpatine is in there, who still looks like his face got trapped in a toaster, but none of them I would call convincing. They're just stereotypes within a Star Wars setting. Which isn't a bad thing, of course, it's just the characters aren't memorable because of their personas. I was never really bored playing the game, and the characters aren't dull by any means, it just needed a bit more colour put into it, both personality-wise and graphics-wise. But 10 years ago, The Force Unleashed does hold up very well, even if there are differences within the different versions and consoles. The lighting system in the Wii version is more advanced than the PS2 version, but the PS3 version is better overall. Sure, it's not by any means an incredible game, but it brought enough originality into the Star Wars universe that it kept me engaged, and spawned a sequel 2 years later. I'll get to that one soon enough. And I still enjoyed it, even after all the years I've left it. Its combat is fun and brutal, the story is pretty engaging with some interesting characters and dialogue, and overall it is still fun. It was, however, written by George Lucas, so I can't fully forgive it. What a knob. What is that? I haven't even been fisted. Like, that's not even a funny joke. Well, I mean, there was that time in Corfu. No, that was more of a fondling, wasn't it? You touched me somewhere. Oh god, is that what that means?